Om Vasudevasutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. In 18th chapter, known as Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, the verse number is 29, and this whole chapter is dedicated to giving insight into how to assimilate spiritual wisdom in your daily life. You can have tons of food in your refrigerator. How to get the proper amount for your body and assimilate it. The saying is, an ounce of practice is better than tons of theory. And also, you are being given the profound mantra, Om Tat Sat. With Om, you are invoking God, making your life God-colored, God-word. Tat, you are directing your attention to the goal, Brahman. Sat, in bringing in your daily conduct, Sat Vyavahar, Sadachar, Satsanga. Everything that you do should have a stamp of Sat on it. Otherwise, illegal. Shouldn't carry illegal bags in your flight. The whole world is a flight. The Earth planet is constantly flying. Okay, we'll not go into that detail. 29th verse. Buddher Vedam Dhriteshchaiva Gunata Trividham Shrinu Prachyamanam Asheshena Prithaktvena Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya, O conqueror of wealth. That the name given to Arjuna, that doesn't relate to material type of wealth. It relates to divine qualities, Davi Sampat, fearlessness, humility, charity, generosity, compassion, understanding, friendliness. Just giving a few. All those inner peace, love of God, if all these emerges in your heart and you live with multiplying that wealth, then that's your Dhananjaya, you are conquering wealth. And therefore you are entitled to listen to these subtle points. Threefold distinction of intellect, Sanskrit word is buddhi, as well as of steadfastness, Sanskrit word is dhriti. Simple way to understand, firmness. From the very time you are born, your spine must be healthy. There must be firmness in your personality. But what type of firmness? That's what you are going to now understand. In a humorous way, I created Bijaksharas. Duck, hut, and fat. You are facing challenges and we are collapsing, even without understanding what challenges are. To remedy that, the mantra is dat. That means be firm, stand up. And when you stand up, you begin to discover your inner strength, spiritual strength that is hidden within you. So you become like a light lamp, light emanating from you. It's called bhavana shuddhi, purity of feeling. First stage is karma yoga, kriya. As you begin to do things, then you are standing up. You are dat. And when you prepare yourself and turn your gaze around, all things you were frightened about, they don't even exist. And those who are those things that are still giving you fright, the table has turned. They are frightened by you. So that's called a hut. Third, the veil of ignorance that constantly restricted you in your movement. It's like a veil. Hut. Tear it up. So, just to give you that in a colorful way. Now, coming back to the topic, there are 3 types of intellect and 3 types of firmness. Understand the subtlety about it. And if you understand, you will promote it in your life. 3 types always relate to sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Tamasic is demoniac. Rajasic, distracted. You can be very firm, but firm in a wrong type of understanding, with a narrow-minded concept. The example is those terrorists, etc., who enjoy killing. They're firm, not easy to be shaken. The tamasic firmness. Then there is rajasic firmness. You are firm to keep your mind distracted. Every New Year's Day, you plan your whole year life. Contact all travel agencies and figure out how many days, how many years, how many months, in which hotels you will live. And the mind is completely distracted. It considers the happiness as a cumulative attainment. A little happiness you got here, a little happiness there. Go on a hobby. And then there is sattvic. Sattvic type of intellect has discovered the royal path for attaining enlightenment. Or sattvic type of firmness allows you to stay with your sadhana until you have attained victory. I'm just giving you a summary of what's going to be described more in detail. So Lord Krishna introduces the 3 points relating to buddhi, 3 types of intellect, dhriti, 3 types of firmness. 30th verse. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham moksham cha yavetti buddhi sa partha sattviki. The intellect that knows the distinction between the path of pravritti and path of nivritti, between right action and wrong action, between fear and fearlessness, between bondage and release. That intellect is sattvic. If you are developing that, then you're a bright person, bright intellect. If you don't develop it, then you are doing monkey business, monkey intellect. And if you come down to a complete degraded state, a cockroach. Bandha buddhi. Try to understand now these points from in different stages. Always understand in satsang, people come in with different levels, and the same truth is presented in a colorful way to touch every level of person. Even so, in India, the Indian culture, children are allowed in the most profound satsang of Vedanta. I will not go in that detail either. From profound point of view, the purpose of life is to attain liberation. If your intellect has not grasped it, then it is moving towards constantly holding on to pravritti. Pravritti means cycle of birth and death. Because each time you are in difficulty, your mind simply wants a better situation. You are living in a hut. I'm not talking about Bijakshara. You want to live in a palace. You have less money, you want to be rich. You have less popularity, you want to be very popular. There are three desires that drive everyone in their life. What are those? Putreshana, the desire for having near and dear ones and multiplying your ones, your family. In other words, have good children, a married life, wonderful. Nothing is being criticized, all have their purpose. Next type of desire is how to be wealthy, vitteshana. And third type of desire, how to go viral. Location. Everybody knows your face. If you have your inclination in the realm of these vasanas, live for having good family, good relations with people around you, cozy life. Nothing bad about it, it's perfectly okay. But if that's the only thing you want, then you must realize you are dealing with something that is not going to be. It's anityam asukham lokam. Every situation that you get is a changing situation. Therefore, the aspiration must develop in one's heart to attain liberation. And liberation means, again, depending upon the level of mind, but the highest definition is to have an intuitive revelation that I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the ego. The absolute I am is one without a second, non-dual self. If you want to have easy understanding, let me give you my popular illustration of the sun and countless illuminations. Look around, there are countless illuminations of the sun. Even a little dewdrop shines with the illumination of the sun. And countless colors created by the sun. But all this is fleeting. And they move away. We are looking at a beautiful cloud and ask people, come, look. And hardly they gather, they have gone away. So you bring in your mind a sense of gaining, losing, advantage, disadvantage. But all that relates to in a world of mirage is not real. All that is happening due to the sun. And even though the sun has gone away from your eyes because of a cloud, the sun is there. Even the ability to see the cloud is due to a little diffused light of the sun. So, the mind that begins to understand, let me develop that type of understanding that transcends intellectual concepts, intellectual attainments. All intellectual attainments are called indirect knowledge. Even intellectual attainments can be of two types. You allow your intellect to work on worldly matter for mundane values, or you allow your intellect to study the scriptures, go into different philosophies, gain all the different insights given by so many philosophers, and stay a scholar, a vidwan. And all that is just in your house, it stays like a big list of kind of certificate. But you don't enjoy it. People may recognize how great you are, but you don't have the real experience. So, the project of intellect is not only to gather knowledge, but assimilate that knowledge. When you assimilate it, intellect does not stay as intellect. It undergoes a transformation. It becomes intuition. But I'm not using the intuition term in an ordinary way. This is called aparokshanubhuti. That type of intuition that brings a revelation. I am not the body, I am Satchidananda. I am Brahman, one without a second. And bring it to, again, to give color to it. I am that cosmic form in every room, in every hair of his body. Every hair contains millions of word processes. I am that. It's hard to digest it. But the real movement is sahaj, spontaneous. Simple illustration. Every day you go to sleep. If you use your intellect to lead you to sleep, you will never sleep. Yet it is intellect that tells you it is time to sleep. Two types of function of your intellect. If you use your intellect in a scientific way, now you have to bring all the data. What will happen to the body? Where will the nerves be? How will the vitality move in the body? What will the nose do? Will I be snoring? What will my teeth do? Start biting nuts. I'm joking. And you may gather lots of data, but you can't go to sleep. But same intellect that has turned sattvic goes after the taste of sleep. The taste comes through relaxation. Let go. And the moment you do that, it goes beyond your calculations. What time did you go to sleep? Did you know? And how long your sleep will continue? Do you have any idea? All these points don't exist. Similarly, your movement to enlightenment has similar process. While studying it, your mind goes into many directions. But when you begin to practice it, it is a process of bhakti and mukti. You let everything happen by God. Surrender. And you enjoy cosmic sources of nourishment coming to you without your working for it. That's what's happening in day-to-day life. You take cauliflower, mangoes or whatever. Led by your karma, your soul knows exactly under God's guidance how things have to be assimilated. So, the intellect that knows the distinction between the path of pravritti and nivritti, that intellect is sattvic. Another aspect, the intellect that knows between the distinction between the right action and wrong action, put it in a little higher level, what to do and what not to do. Both are qualities. It is not a choice. In every situation, the question develops. Should I take this path? Should I take that path? And now your intellect, your subtle instinct, spiritual instinct should tell you, exercise that aspect of your personality that doesn't want to do in relation to this path. But exercise that aspect that says, I will do it. Follow that. I won't do, I will do. Both are good, guided by your intuitive intellect. And both must work in your life. It becomes hard for us parents to understand. They get confused. Why can't you just say what to do and what to do? Between fear and fearlessness, both are great qualities. Whenever there is inclination to doing wrong, fear grips your heart. Very simple example. If you see a flame, and in a dreamy state, it looks so good. You come closer, you suddenly realize, oh, what will happen if I get burnt? You become afraid. That fear is good. Helped you. Put it in a more practical point. Someone has irritated you. And now your ego says, punish this person to such an extent that the person cannot even get up. Smash. Now, your conscience says, remember you are preparing your own hell. And your nature says, hell? No. the demonstration of fear. That's what in normal way it said. You should be afraid. Fear towards God. If things are not godly, afraid that what God is going to do to you. But that's a very kindergarten statement. God is not a source of fear. But understand, in God's plan, any negative karma that you do will have a negative result. And that's for your real good for you in every level. And difference between bondage and release. Bondage, we have given explanation before, but turn your mind to the wheel of the world process. You do good karmas called virtue, but you cannot just go on doing good karmas, it also mixes with negative karmas in different proportions. Called dharma, adharma. Dharma leads to pleasant situation, sukh. Adharma leads to unpleasant situation, dukh. When pleasant situation comes, a type of moha, infatuation builds in. May I have that situation. May I have that prosperity. And when unpleasant comes, there is pain, painful situation. And with painful situation, you develop dvesha. So put it in terminologies, dharma, adharma, sukh, dukh, rag, dvesh. These are 6 spokes of the wheel of pravritti. And the axle of this entire 6 is your ego. So if you are moving Godward, you should not be confined to the rule of this wheel, neither dharma nor adharma. This is attaining transcendence, allowing the very ego that holds the whole wheel to as if fade away, self-surrender. Then that's called nivritti. But again, to understand another point, it's not a simple choice. Having heard that from tomorrow, only nivritti, not pravritti. There's no such clear choice. So therefore, you have to always adopt a flexibility of what to do and what not to do. Until love of God becomes strong, until you feel that you are an instrument in divine hand. Once you have come to that state, you are secure on the path of nivritti. But in order to be secure on the path of nivritti, you have to bring in those divine qualities, Daivi Sampats, even though you are in shaky ground. But you have to go on intensifying it. Abhyasa. All these points will be explained again. Yaya dharma adharmam cha karyam cha karya me vacha ayathavat prajanati buddhi sa partha rajasi. Sattvic intellect gives you that insight to conduct yourself leading to the state of nivritti, where this wheel of the world process stops. and therefore you will not be born again. But Rajasic intellect does not give you that insight. The intellect that creates confusion between what is righteous and what is unrighteous. Masses follow their own mantra. Get on, get honor, get honest. Just get on by hook or by crook. And when you have started succeeding, secure recognition that you are a good person. And in the process of securing, have competition. You are the goodest one, the best. Get on, get honor, get honest. If you follow that, that is the Rajasic intellect. It seems very practical for the masses. Why to go through all that? You need money. Let's adopt this particular business. And if some things have to be deceptive, we adopt it. I'm not going into details of that. I have no experience in that either. What should be done and what should not be done? That question must always be there before you in daily life. The Upanishad describes it in the terms of Shreya and Preya. And Mahabharata illustrates it. When the story of Mahabharata comes to a stage that the battle could not be avoided, then two personalities go to Krishna for his help. One is Arjuna, another is Duryodhana. When Duryodhana goes to seek his help, of course, God pretends to be sleeping. Krishna is sleeping. Duryodhana goes there and sits by the pillow side, towards the head side, where he comes first. He's very eager to get God's help. When Arjuna goes there, he's a little late because he's deliberate and he goes with peace and he wants to have solid attainment. And he also could have chosen a chair to sit by the back, the head side. But not so. He sits humbly by the feet side. See, all these details have their own color and meaning. Now when that setting becomes clear, Krishna wakes up and looks at Arjuna and says, "Oh Arjuna, you are here." Duryodhana roars out, I'm also here and I came first. And therefore it is my right to present the purpose for which I have come. So if you are really righteous, listen to me. And don't look at Arjuna. Krishna says, but I saw Arjuna. So my statement is, whomsoever I see first, I will ask the person his choice, what he wants. And let Arjuna therefore express what he wants. Duryodhana felt like cold shower. That all the opportunity has shifted to Arjuna. But then Arjuna says, "O Lord, Krishna then defines what two possibilities are. On one side, I will serve as a chariot driver, not even as a hero fighting, just driving the chariot. And the other, a vast army, Yadava army. So between these two, have your choice. Arjuna says, "Oh Lord, I want you." When he said that, Duryodhana became so happy. And Krishna said, "Now, through Duryodhana, you will have all that army. Arjuna has already chosen me." And Duryodhana makes a kind of a hypocritical expression. "Oh Lord, what can I do? I will be satisfied with the army." Feeling exceedingly proud and successful. Thinking Arjuna is so stupid. This is the illustration of Shreya and Preya. If you want Shreya, you want God Himself. Become a channel in God's hand. Let God drive your chariot. You want Preya, let your monkey mind drive your chariot. And deal with so many rajasic forces. So these are the two choices. And through satsanga and through your yoga practices and good karmas, the subtle shift occurs within your heart. When does it occur? It doesn't. You don't have the record for it. But shift occurs. And we begin to understand that having love of God and feeling all my worries are being taken care of by Him is much more joyous than keeping an eye on all your worries. And worrying about what happens to those worries. 32nd verse. Adharmam dharmamiti ya manyate tamasavritā sarvaryavan viparitanscha buddhi sapartha tamasi. O Arjuna, the intellect which is perverted, which considers evil as good and sees what is right as wrong, that intellect dominated by darkness, tamas, that intellect is called tamasic in nature. In rajasic, you have a choice between good and evil. You can swing like a pendulum. But in tamasic state, your neck has lost its flexibility. It can see only one way. And there is another quality of the tamasic intellect. You will see only the wrong way. Even by mistake, you will not turn to something right. So, tamasic intellect is the source of immense trouble, agony, pain, misery. And it's all the three gunas exist in every individual. Just like in every house, you have some corners where mosquitoes exist, where spiders exist. It's up to you how much cleanliness can you promote. You cannot be absolutely free, but at least can make yourself live in a healthy manner. Similarly, all these gunas stay. But when we say you should develop sattvic intellect, it simply means sattvic intellect gains its strength. It becomes more highlighted in you. And other negative aspects of intellect become, they're brought down day by day. You allow the sattvic intellect to rise higher and higher until the state comes that in spite of some little negative being with you, you are not concerned with it. They are not going to have any effect. Now coming to a 33 verse. So far we have discussed three types of intellect: sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Now turning to another term, dhriti. Dhriti is firmness. And firmness is one of the great qualities of dharma. Dhriti kshama damasteyam shaucham indriya nigraha. Dharma, characteristics of dharma are described. Dhriti comes first. Firmness. Duct. Now, how should you be duct? How should we be firm? Dhritya yaya dharayate manah pranendriya kriya yogena vyavicarinya dhriti sa partha sattviki. The firmness arising out of yogic samadhi, by which one controls, acquires mastery over his mind, pranas, vital forces, and senses. In other words, that type of firmness that enables you to rule over your lower self. Your higher self and lower self, they are in confused state. The lower self has put the fingers, or rather the whole hand, on your neck. The higher self. How to save your higher self from being pressured by the lower self. Uddharet atmanatmanam. Rescue yourself by yourself. That firmness that gives you that type of rescue mantra, that's called sattvic firmness. And it doesn't arise out of ordinary intellect, out of yogic samadhi. You have to have samadhi level of state of mind. That you have given you insight into in Raja Yoga. Concentration, you are just focusing the mind. That's called dharana. When focused state continues uninterrupted, then called dhyana, meditation. And if you continue with meditation, a spontaneous expansion occurs in your consciousness. That also has different degrees. But it opens the door to a profoundest experience. That's called samadhi. Even a slightest inkling of samadhi brings a tremendous change in your personality. And so, in that process, the strength that develops, that constantly exercises its power over your mind, your pranas, your senses, organs of action, the whole personality is like a whole chariot. Senses are the horses. Mind is the reins, pulls the reins. Intellect is the driver. All this set becomes corrected. A firmness that puts things in perfect order. That's called sattvic firmness. It is that firmness that allows you to turn turn theory into practice, and intellectual knowledge into intuitional experience. Also, it is also known as Nigraha Shakti. Nigraha means ability to keep your mind away from all things that lead you to distraction. The whole crowd of things are there before you, and all that you have to do is to just turn around, move to the other direction. But it requires a little guts, little strength. To give you very simple to understand, there are thousands and thousands of people complain that the world is becoming so full of bad news. Who sees the news? Can't you have another type of entertainment? Moving away from distracted news that is not doing any good to you, to something else, creating something else. Create a little satsanga group, listen to spiritual music, kirtan, be involved in gracious activities, and see how much entertained you are. So try to see difference between, and then begin to control yourself. So that type of steadfastness is sattvic. Yayat dharma kamarthan dhritya dharayate arjuna prasangena palakangshi dhriti sa partha rajasi. Oh, the steadfastness, or the firmness, with the help of which a person performs actions for the sake of accumulation of merit, fulfillment of desires, and accumulation of wealth, is to be known as a rajasic. There are four purposes in life, you see: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Rajasikas delete moksha in that list. They go after all the three. Everything is agreeable. Dharma, artha, kama. No more, no moksha. It can lead a person to a great prominence, great success in the eyes of the masses. See, when you read the scriptures, the greatest of demons were highly learned scholars, and they had done a lot of good karmas to become that great. But in spite of all the good karmas they had done, all that inflated their ego, and they became more and more demoniac. So if dharma, artha, and kama, only these three are your focus, and you don't have moksha. This reminds me of the parable of a businessman who goes to buy a horse, an Arabic horse, in old times considered the best. And the merchant who was selling the horse welcomes this man who has come to buy the horse. And when he is seated, he begins to describe, tell me all about the horse that you are selling. So the horse has so many great qualities. It took half an hour or more describing the qualities, the feet, the foot, the ears, the type, the nose, the mane, the neck. I may take same. And the man who have come to buy, so fascinated. Tell me, is there any defect? Just simple. He's dead. They apply to that pravritti type of thing. You are going to attain so many good things. Lot of good children and grandchildren, and your name will be written on every road and path. And you will go viral everywhere. You will be remembered. The things you have done and buildings you have built, they will be known and stay in the world for a long, long time. But is there any defect? Anityam. All this will not stay forever. They will be blown away along with the whole earth planet. So with this I will conclude. Om Triambakam Yamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukuma Bandhana Mrityor Mukshiyama Amritat Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhave Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.